Mr. Aaron Ross, how's it going, man?
It's going great, man.
Dude,
I
this
think
is rad.
things are good. Things are good. Busy, but good.
Busy. It's manual focus keeping you busy, I imagine.
It's a bummer because yes, manual focus is keeping us very busy, but there's a lot of other things going on in general, and so we are just, of course, double and triple busy. But hey, that's okay. Busy is good. I've said that my entire life. Busy is good. If you're not busy, you're bored. I'm someone who the busier I am, I'm not bored, and that's nice. But
Idle
sometimes
hands and all that, right? Idle hands and all
yep,
that.
yep. I like staying busy. It's just nice when you have a little bit of control of that busyness. And right now I feel like we're grasping for the control, but hey, we're doing it.
I always feel like he's for some reason I just got this. Imagine a guy in a plane that's going way too fast. He's trying to grab the yoke, and he's grasping at the thing.
Yep.
That's what this stuff feels like sometimes, man. And what would be the surprising part if you were to tell somebody that never had put something together like manual focus that you could explain to them about something you didn't know before going into it?
Oh man, what did I not know? That's a great question. What did I not know? I don't really know, honestly. I don't know because I feel like the entire thing has been we're just kind of doing it. I think we're just a good group of doers. And it's just sort of like you do what's in front of you, do what you can, and you hope the best. I will say that some of the stuff I didn't know was we've been hearing a lot from the community. And I'm not saying like we didn't build this community. I had this conversation with someone earlier today. We didn't build this community. The community was here. We gave them a place to funnel into, whether it's group chat or Austin or, Hill Country Rally or something where like there's a place for them now. And there was always meetups and groups and drives, but there wasn't this one place of like-minded people. And I think one of the things we have learned through this process is like win or lose. And I don't know what winning is and in this, but like we've made a lot of great friends and people are very excited to support us. And I don't know if that looks like this giant thing or just this really fun thing that's like, I don't want to say intimate, but just like the community gets together and has like a big party and gets to enjoy each other. And like, yes, I know it will be bigger than our normal meetups by 3 or 4 or 5 times. But I think I've learned that when you put a good group of guys together and a good group of friends, anything is possible if if everyone just sort of checks boxes every day and keeps going. That's it. And um, I don't know what else I've learned. I'm not one that like stops and takes I don't look back too often. I kind of just keep going and what's happened in the past. And I don't know. So just take every day and keep going. That's it. I mean, with these things, you've put on events, you just kind of have to roll with the punches and do what you got to do and make the most of it and find ways to enjoy it and build yourself a team of people that are kind of like-minded with that same aspect. It's like, you can't win them all. Let's just keep going. And I think that's like the best way to do it. If you kind of stress the details, it's going to be really hard.
What do you think? Why art? Because there's lots of car shows, right? There's lots of car shows.
Yep.
There's lots of things that there's been get-togethers and clubs going on since dudes were racing on the beaches. This
Yep.
has been
For
going on for
sure.
quite some time. It's like it's a great conduit for which to build community. Why bring art into it? Why is that important, do you think?
I think it just comes down to we started these group chat shows at this historical burger stand in Austin, and very quickly you had people showing up. And I think at art, it was started more photography. We had a lot of people showing up with film cameras and a medium format and all these things where like they were just kind of showing love through all that stuff. And we're like, oh, let's like show off these guys, like the people who may or may not have cars, but support the community. And then you started to get little things like, oh, look what I've painted. Oh, look what I've built. Look what I've done. And you're like, it's not that I'm trying to like say, oh, these other shows, or it's not like we're trying to say these other shows have or haven't tried art. I mean, there's art in all of these shows. I think it was a way for us to bridge these two communities and do something a tiny bit different than what is being done. All those other shows are great, but if you really look into all those shows, they have art in them. They do. I mean, whether it's someone building something, whether it's a sculpture, whether it's photos, the art is there. We all know that. I think it's just a different take on like, let's emphasize the art and let's let's showcase them first and foremost when we've had there's car shows everywhere. I mean, there just is. And at the end of the day, how many cars are you I don't want to say how many cars are you impressed by. I think it's a different way of like, hey, like it's cool to see some of these cars in person. It's cool to finally see them. But let's see these other people's talents and what they can do. And like, there's a community of people that can't afford these cars, but they can do this amazing artwork. And I think it's also just a way to kind of grow that community even more, where like people are like, dude, I do like this. These are good people. This is cool people. And I think that's kind of how we got here. I mean, we have, I mean, you could say four different artists in the group. We have Jed, who's a graphic design artist by trade and was a photographer who shot one of my first interviews in a BMX magazine of all time. Jim Bauer, who's the art director of the bike company that I rode for forever, that made all these stickers. And Keith, who's an artist in his own way, like he makes furniture, very high end, and does all stuff. Like we're all artists, and we all could like we collided this thing where we like started in bikes. You found your art form, and you liked cars, and I'm like, it just goes hand in hand.
You kind of struck me when you said we're all artists, and I kind of my brain painted that brush maybe a little differently than you said it because you were just talking about those immediate people. But then I think about my kids, and I have one daughter, and they'll listen to this. They're probably going to come running and talk to me. But one daughter is always drawing,
Yep.
and one daughter used to draw more and draws less
Mhm.
and less as time goes on. And I feel like when we were kids, weren't we all artists then? Weren't we
100%.
all artists? And as we grew older, did we quit?
Yeah.
Did we
Well, I
quit?
think art's so funny because I've never wanted to label myself as an artist, but during my BMX career, every single thing like this or these like frames, like that's an art form, and I have these ideas. And just because I wasn't a good artist or a painter, that like I couldn't get these art like ideas out of my head. That's where Jim Bauer came in with Sunday Bikes and being able to work with me and like get these ideas out. I feel like even if you're someone who's in production, you're an artist. Like I think what y'all did in California, that's art. That's an art form of curating this event and showing people what is in your head and what you think brings a community together or what excites people. Just because you didn't draw it on a piece of paper, you built it. Some people can't do that. And that's not a diss to anybody. It's just a fact. Like it's hard to curate anything, whether it's a painting or a photo or whatever. Some people just have an eye or an itch for something different than others. And I think I think it's all an art. I think life's an art form. I mean, I just do. I think bike riding in a whole or skateboarding is an art form. The way that people put together their video parts over, I've put video parts together over 2 or 3, 4 or 5 years at times, and that's an art form. I mean, it just is. Like, it's just, that's how, you put it together. Oh, I need a bigger trick to fill in this gap before the technical trick. I mean, that's an art form in itself is like, putting together a video part.
I think about manual focus as kind of being like I don't know you that well,
Yeah.
so I think of like manual focus when I think of Aaron Ross now. We've talked a little bit about stuff on Instagram, but I think Aaron Ross. I think of manual focus right now,
Mhm.
and
Well,
uh,
I am I said that in my last video. I was like, I'm sorry if y'all are getting tired of hearing me. I'm like, it's only cars and art right now. I'm like driving people insane.
okay, so it's not too far off then. And then I thought about our very small discussion off air where we talked about our tires being flat because I
Yep.
dragged my bike over here in case I needed to show my bike from when I was a kid, which was rediscovered. We can get into
I
that later
like
if you
that.
want.
All right, let's take a quick break to talk about our latest sponsor, The Common Gear. Now, the story of your car matters just as much as the machine itself. Every receipt, every late night fix, rally mile, that's your car's identity. But most of us have that history scattered everywhere. It's in your glove box, it's on social media, it's in a repair bill that who knows where it went. The Common Gear fixes that. It's a platform built by real car people for car people. It allows you to digitize everything: maintenance receipts, build photos, records, provenance, where it's coming from, where it came from, every mile that you log, every oil change. And it's all organized, all searchable, all in one single place. And if you've got decades of paperwork, perhaps, that you bought with a vehicle, guess what? They have a white glove service. They'll digitize everything for you remotely or on site. You'll hand them chaos and they hand you back a complete car history. It adds credibility, it adds value. Think about if you're going to sell your car, everything now you can show is in one place, has records, is ready to go. Go to thecommongear.com, make your free account, and start building your car's digital legacy today. Take a moment to also give a shout out to all the Drivers Club members. If you're not a Drivers Club member, you are missing out. We have, as you know, our fall rally is coming up in October, and we also have Sports Car Vacation Land and Camp Overcrest happening in just a couple weeks. It's happening and coming up very quickly, and Drivers Club members get a discount, and they will be the first to know about all sorts of new merch drops that might be coming. So head on over to overcrestproductions.com/drivers club and check it out. All the awesome exclusive content. We have whole back catalogs of history stories and episodes that haven't been released to the general public. Check it out. There's a lot of stuff. It's awesome to support the content creators that you like. And hopefully, if you're listening to this, that means it might be us. Check it out.
Dude, you said your freaking bike tires are flat, man.
Well, in my defense, I have a lot of different bikes. This bike has air in it, the road bike. The mountain bike has air in it. The BMX bike tires might be a little low at the moment. I did try to ride it this weekend. It did not work out. I actually woke up excited. I was like, hey, let's get together, guys. And then we had a kid's birthday party and a few things I forgot about, and shooting photos for manual focus for all the art cars that I had, I was like, let's ride it this afternoon. And like the first thing in the afternoon we had was hours of shooting cars. So it falls apart quickly right now. Another 3 weeks and I'll get back to some normal schedule of skate parking, once or twice a week and enjoying some of that with my friends, and it'll be good.
Is it weird having BMX be on the back burner like that when it's been something that's been just so prominent in your life?
It's so weird because yes and no, but yes. I think because I think about it all day and I'm still in the group text with all my like core friends that I've traveled the world with, and like other professionals. I'm like in the filming group text. I'm in so it feels like I'm in it. I think there's times it hits me when I talk to them when I'm like, oh yeah, I'll come out. And they're like, dude, you haven't been out like 4 months. And I'm like, oh shoot. Like, but to me, I'm going as much as I can, and we own a handful of businesses and we're busy. And so life just changes. And like, as in like, if you can go out every 2 or 3 weeks, that's a lot. When like you just go out every day for 4 hours, and so life just changes. And so it is weird that it's on the back burner. It's sad, but I have a daughter who's 5 and life changes,
Yeah, that's for sure. I don't work on cars as much as I used to either. It's just the kids, man.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
I get it.
So for like a lot of people that are listening to this podcast, like I love BMX. I grew up around BMX, but for me it was, I would wake up in the morning and my stepmom would say, go. She'd kick me out of the house and lock the deadbolt behind me, and I had my bike.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, it was this old mongoose, this old piece of crap bike that ended up I broke the frame on that bike. It was my dad's bike when he was a kid. I broke the frame on it and I threw it in the river, so I didn't have to tell him that I broke the frame on his bike. But it was such like this integral part of my youth, but not as like the BMX sense of what you did. So for people that don't come from BMX at all, or people that were like me, what do you think we all misunderstand about the kind of life that you've lived as a pro BMX rider?
The thing that I always got the biggest question always was like, wait, so how did you do that? Because if you're not Dave Mirra or Matt Hoffman or Tony Hawk, it's pretty unclear what you do. I mean, people don't realize how it works, don't understand that. Like, I've gotten pretty good at explaining this over the years, and I've never heard anyone else say this, but one of the things I said is action sports athletes in general, motorcycles, whether it's, freestyle motocross, BMX, skateboarding, snowboarding, we were the original influencers. Before influencer was a thing, that's what we were. And the best way to describe that is we got paid to be ourselves. We got paid to show off what we were wearing and what we were riding in or whatever it may be. And there wasn't necessarily, early on, there was not necessarily like daily obligations. It was like show up on these trips, wear the clothes, film. And when those big video projects would come out, you would the kids or whoever want to see like, oh my gosh, this is the guy. But like any other job, you had a paycheck every month, and you wore certain clothes, you wore certain shoes, you rode certain bikes, and you kind of it was a job. I think it was the best job in the world. I was lucky to do it for 17 years, and still a tiny bit technically today. I still got there's some pay in there. For me, when someone asks, I always have to lean on, oh, like the X Games. I rode in the X Games 10 times. And I like, if they dig, I'm like, I got 4 medals, and like kind of have to just, and they're like, oh, I know X Games. And I'm like, yeah, but
Yeah.
I didn't do the like triple flips. And so then it's a whole nother layer of like street riding in the X Games and all this. And it's like, but typically when you drop X Games, you get, and if someone digs even deeper, I had an action figure, which is somewhere
Hey,
right here.
that's like the dream, right?
It is
Man,
the dream. Look at this. And then I had a bunch of signature products. Look at that.
it's
Little,
sick.
you could buy it, and then you actually, my daughter still doesn't get it, but like you had the actual little Aaron Ross toy,
What was that
which
like to
was,
hold that in your hand for the first time when you first saw it? Like the box with your name on it and the bike and the guy? Dude,
it's pretty
surreal.
surreal. And honestly, I think some of it, when it's all happening, I mean, you know how this is, like when you see how it gets, when it gets made, you're in the meetings or on the calls like months in advance. And then, so you kind of know it's coming. I think a lot of it hit me harder when I would like, my dad would see it or my mom would see it. Like my parents would be like, you have an action figure or whatever it may be. It's like I just rode bikes, man. Like I went up, my dad would take me to my parents took me everywhere. I would go to the racetrack, rode bikes. And so it was all kind of surreal. Like, even though it's, I don't, I guess you earned it. It's just like you're a kid living a dream. And I guess the one thing I will say is like, this was never part of the dream. Riding street, you don't grow up thinking you're going to have an action figure. We didn't have a discipline in X Games when I was growing up. So I never thought X Games was going to be a thing. I just was like, oh, I'm going to ride street and film video parts. And then early in my career, they brought out street riding, and I was, able to ride in X Games. And so the dream changed for me a lot, where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm actually living out the fantasy dream that like the pros live, not just the street riders. And so it's pretty interesting. You're always like, you were just kind of always caught off guard with like, wow, this was, like, I mean, I still to this day, I like, don't even know. I'm just like, I have an action figure, and like, and I don't know. I have no idea.
So what
I
what do
don't
you
know.
think it was about what you were doing that, you say it was the first influencers? And I guess I would tend to agree. What was it about what you guys were doing that lent itself so well to that? Like, what was it about you guys
What
and
do you mean
girls?
exactly? Like action sports athletes?
No, well, yeah, well, BMX, action sports, sure, skateboarding. It's a
Yep.
very. What was it about it that made that lent it to being that first influencer? Like, why?
Um, Well, I just think it's one of those where like people still are like, so what do you do as it, not me, but like you ask an influencer, like, what do you do? And they're like, well, I do brand deals. And like, it's hard to explain to a normal person who's not on Instagram all day, what the importance of an influencer is. And, um, and it's one of those where like, I think of it differently today or the last 5 years. I'm like, oh, we were the first of these. Like, these companies were paying us to like drink something, wear something, do something, because we had captured the attention of kids across the country. And I mean, it's the same as like a pro athlete for football or whatever. I mean, but I think because pro athletes have like a day they show up, and they have, you know, games that you judge them off of. So they're on TV. It was different because we weren't on TV. We were on videos or like, early social media, Twitter or early Instagram. And so sometimes some of these guys you would only see them wearing the shoes in a 4-minute video part that would drop once a year. And that
Hmm.
was your job, was to make sure you put out a good video part. And then hopefully you're wearing all these stuff with brands on them. The kids buy it all. And and I just think that's basically what Instagram is now, or influencing is now, except that it's brand deals every day, all day long.
And it
Um,
seems like it's. If I were to compare now, I would say back then it was tied to a skill and a lifestyle,
yes.
and now it's tied to your ability to successfully meet the requirements of an algorithm based on your style and personality.
I'm
So
I
it's.
I agree. I still give a lot of credit to the ones that are good, because it's a
Mhm.
talent to be like,
Sure.
you have people, people walk in the room and they turn on a switch and everyone wants to watch it. Those people in most cases are the ones that succeed in social media. And so like they're creative. They are tastemakers. They see what's next. They can do that. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And that's a talent and it's a skill. And like, um, and I'm not saying all influencers are that. Some are just hustlers and, caught the algorithm wave and they're riding it. And then you have someone like, me who's just kind of like, I'm kind of an influencer, but it's built off this foundation of bike riding and this following. I've also always noticed that like someone who has done something like myself has I don't say a leg up in getting deals because that's not necessarily true, but like the respect is different. Like people are like, oh no, you're like, you did something. And this
Mhm.
guy's like just good at doing Instagram. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
like they did something as well. They've worked for this. They have they have a personality that people like, but people do tend to respect like the pro skateboarder, the pro bike rider, the pro athlete, the pro football player, because they lived a dream that like other people dreamed they could have. Like, and that'll be the case later. Like kids are growing up today wanting to be influencers. I mean, they're
Yep.
going to be like, oh, wow, I met this person. But
Our
we,
generation sees that long middle though too. Like everybody, it's very easy on social media now when you hop on and you look at it, and you go, "Oh, that person's got a million views and a million
yep,
followers," and you can see exactly what it is that they do,
yep.
and you can define what they do by what you see. For someone like you who spent the long middle, right, all that time wiping out and fucking up and busting your ass, was nobody even really knows about it unless you were to tell
No
them about
one,
it. So that
it's
long
kind of,
middle disappears.
yeah, it's kind of crazy because sometimes like I did, like, I got the cover of that Avons magazine. Is it Avons or Avons? And I
Avance,
like
yeah.
Avance. And like it's one of those like people like, you can ride a bicycle? And I was like, that's my entire life. Like, because we're at Top Notch. I'm doing all these interviews. They're like, oh, you're so, you're good at this. And they're like, what how'd you do this? And they just think I'm an interview influencer. And I'm like, no, like I can jump over a car. And I have become a one-trick pony. I just jump over cars. But it is funny because like there's people at that show, hundreds of people that come once a month, and they just have no idea. They have no clue that there's an entire different um life that I've lived that was, you could argue was very successful in like my accomplishments on the bicycle, and the people I see on a regular basis or through the car community just have no clue. But that's the case for a lot of pro athletes. I mean, like I think we talked about that. Chris Runge was at y'all show. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't speak on is he a gold medalist? I don't know all the details, but it's like he is a professional snowboarder at the highest level. And like people just know him for this amazing pieces of art that he makes. It's funny. You just have these two lives. And I
Yep.
think someone like him or myself, you find these grooves in life where like, hey, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to find a way to do it. And you just keep doing it. Cause like that's what snowboarding is. Snowboarding or bike riding, it's not a traditional team sport. You want to kind of do your own thing. You want to go your own way. And so, I mean, it makes sense what he's doing. Like he's, found a way to work with himself in a garage and like, and make it amazing.
Is there, speaking of that confidence, is there was like, if you, as you look back at what you have accomplished, was there a moment where you feel like that confidence started to take hold? Was there like a place or a time or a thing or a competition that really kind of solidified that for you and that it started there?
Um, no, I've always just been a pretty confident person. I think I'm just like I'm a glass half full person. I'm just sort of one of those people. It's like, we'll see how it goes. Um, Maybe it's because I did get to accomplish my dream, and so like everything else is a bonus from there. Like, I don't, I don't know because I don't think of myself as this like overly confident person. I just think that you wake up in the morning, I have stuff to do, and someone in the group has to get it done, and my role is being the confident, outspoken guy. I'm comfortable there, but it's not, or I'll say I'm good at that. I don't know if that's my favorite thing, but I think people seem to think it is, and I just kind of roll with it, and someone's got to do it. I definitely am confident, but I'm also not like, uh, I don't know. It's kind of tough because it's like this weird. I've had these conversations with people who are like, you're like a weird, like I turn a switch on, I enjoy it. I
Yep.
feed off people being excited.
Does it exhaust you at
Um,
all? Do you get exhausted by it?
I
Do you have a
do.
battery?
It's a good one though. A good one. I do have a battery, but it's a good one. It's funny because we went to an event a few months ago with the guys, and it was the first time they were like, I just was, exhausted, long week. We were opening a new business. We have like real estate stuff we do and Airbnb stuff. And so we're just busy. It was one of those nights where I'm like, I just want to go sit at dinner with my wife and like, that's it. And we went to this event and like, it was the first time she was like, I've never really seen you just like, I just don't want to do this. Like, I just want to go sit at the table and talk to you. And that's very rare, but yeah, I mean, we all get tired. We all
Do you
get
feel
tired. And it
different?
was,
Does manual focus feed that battery differently than BMX did, or is it the similar feeling?
it's pretty similar feeling. You have to also understand that the 4 guys that are involved all have a history in BMX. So,
Yeah.
like, I feel like I'm hanging out with my BMX friends. We're just talking about cars, not about bikes. And the best part is we do talk about bikes a lot. We talk about mountain biking or trails or like riding and like all these guys were in some way respected or successful in the bike community. And so it's kind of fun because you're like, oh, these guys are like, they're not just like my friends. They're like, they did this. They lived it. I lived it differently than they did, but they lived it on that same way. Um, and so it's pretty cool to feel like you I don't know, like it's not me trying to tell people. I don't have to tell them what I did. They know. Like we don't have to. That's like we get to talk about the fun stuff, not the like. Well, this one time I did
Yeah, you
this,
can
and like,
skip
did
the
you know?
validation part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have that.
So was there a bike as you look back? Was there a bike in a place that you would go back to if you could do it? Like, is there like a story you'd like to relive?
Man, I'll be honest, like, if you look through my Instagram, yes, there is, of course. I'm like, but if you look through my Instagram, and I talk about this sometimes, is I'm not good at throwing back. I'm not a throwback guy. I'm not a like, we're going that way and we're having fun. We're building cars, we're building shows, we're building manual focus, we're riding bikes, and I'm all in on what's in front of me. And so I love what I did in the past. And of course, there's a moment and there's a whole bunch of moments, the prime or this, that, where I was like, I felt the greatest on the bike. And, I watched that movie F1, that when he's in the car, I remember that, like where you could just do whatever you wanted. You looked at a spot, you could accomplish it. You were on the trips, the money was coming in, the sponsor, everything was good. Um, of course. When was that? I don't remember exactly, but of course you have those moments when like, man, I do wish that like when I look at these spots when I'm driving the car, I could still just be like, I'm going to jump that today without having to like warm up or think about it or like be scared. I mean, there was a time when it was just everything was automatic, but you know, 39 years old, that's not the case
Have you
today.
always been so forward looking? I mean, I feel
I
like
don't
man, I
even,
feel like I live in, I was sitting on my phone yesterday and I was looking for a picture of something and I look at my map and I've driven all over the place. So I'm
Mhm,
looking, I got caught in a certain area of Nevada. It was like my daughter driving my car, my 911 across the desert. I
mhm.
had her sit on my lap and she's driving it. And then I went through this nostalgia hole and I just, I feel like I sometimes get really, really, really snapped up in nostalgia. And um, I almost mourn
Mhm,
for the death of the old person. Not
mhm.
in the way that I am sad that I am where I am now, but I don't know, I just feel like I didn't appreciate those moments. I guess that's why I asked. That's maybe I'm the opposite of you in a way where I found the foundation of where I'm going and what I'm doing as really, really dependent on where I was. So maybe I over focus on those things. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I don't know because I think I'm just someone who like I love the past. I love the trips I go on. I just don't know how to tell people about them in a way that like I don't know, like I've been on all these amazing trips and sometimes I think about like throwing back to them and I'm just kind of like what is this? I don't want to say like, oh, what is this accomplishing? Like maybe I'm not a great storyteller, so therefore I don't know how to explain to you how awesome this was. And I am I do have a lot of appreciation for my past to the people I did it with. So like the guys that I went on the trips with, I like love them. I like we've seen and I was on a golf course once and this is so bad and I said this to these guys. It was like these guys meet up once a year. They're war veterans from Vietnam and they meet up this one time a year and play golf. And I was paired with them. It was 2 guys and I'm not comparing BMX to war. Please no one think that that's what I'm doing. But they were like what they were trying to say is that they had this thing that they can't share with anyone else. And I kind of have that with all these BMXers where like no one can ever be like in those vans on those trips around the world riding bikes. And it's just this weird, like, I don't say a brotherhood or a community hood because we have girls in the community as well. And like, it's just this thing that you got to do and everyone kind of looked up at you at one point. And I do think of that stuff a lot. And I have those friends I send those messages to, like, man, I miss that. I miss those times. Um, but yeah, I think it's just sort of, I just am like, I just look forward. And again, for everyone out there, I'm not trying to compare my bike riding and falling on the ground to anything in war, but just that, like, you did, it's like being on a band in the band and on a road, like you did something that people dream of doing. And I'm not saying they all dreamed of war, but you just sort of like, you have this thing that no one can take from you. And you just, you're lucky to have it.
I feel like that kind of camaraderie, or
That's it.
it's like it's a band of brothers, right?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
got your bros that you're going out and doing stuff with. I think I think a lot of people find that in different places in their life. I think there's ways to
100%.
find that. For me, it's probably going out with Jeff and Jake and Steph and Ian and other volunteers from Overcrest, like going out there and finding a place and building something. Or
100%. I mean, there's sections of life, and maybe this section of your life will last 20 years, maybe it lasts 10, but like this will be a part of that life. And these guys you'll have done this amazing thing with. And that's kind of how I look at it. It's the same way as like bands or music or traveling. Like you have these people, you have these segments of life where like I did that and those will never be taken from me. I do look,
Mhm.
I think back on it. I don't look back too much on like the phone, or I'm always kind of like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. Like people are doing all the 2016 throwbacks. So I went through 2016. I'm like, I love all this. I don't know what to say. Like just we're going that way, man. And then that's it. And I'm not trying to race to the end. I do enjoy the moment. I think BMX came to a slow, gradual, faded stop in a sense because
In
I had a
general or just for
daughter.
you?
No, for me. I think,
Okay.
I was getting older and bike riding is getting harder, traveling is getting harder. We had a daughter in COVID and sort of just changed where like life changed. And like I get to be a dad, I get to be, not saying stay at home dad, but like we have schedules allow my wife and I to be very involved. And I don't know, it's like, could I hold on for 2 or 3 years and like ride BMX? Yeah, 100%. But did I wanna, like, miss 10, 14 days at a time and, like, make it hard on our family to do all that, like, a couple times a year? That was hard for me. And I just, like, I don't know, hanging out with my daughter's awesome. She's rad, and if you follow me enough, you see that I'm very involved, and yeah,
Does
so
she
that was
ride
it.
at
It was
all?
oh, yeah, she was riding at 2 years old. She was racing the track. She was riding mountain bikes. So, like, I it's been very fun to, like, switch up the way that we, like, I still am very involved in bike riding that way, but it's like, there was a moment when I was walking out of the house and I was busy. I was holding all the stuff. Her and I were going to ride mountain bikes North Austin, I think. She's probably like 2.5, 3. She had just learned to ride and we're just cruising. And I just stopped at the front door and I switched up. And this is so dumb, but it was a mental thing. I switched up my Instagram profile on a whim from like pro BMXer to like like got rid of that. Honey's dad. I also write husband, BMX rider, whatever. And it was like, don't count on me to be good at this anymore. Like, don't count on me to be good at bike riding anymore. I'm going to be a good dad. And like, and not that I wasn't the first 2 years, just meaning that like it clicked for me that like, dude, this is not going to go jump down a rail today. And maybe not for the next few weeks, or
Well, the first
whatever.
couple of years are this. I've always described it as kind of like this, especially the first year. It's almost like this parasite stage, where
Mhm.
they don't give that much back to you, and you get into that 2 to 3 man, and
Yeah.
it starts to hit you that, whoa,
You're having fun.
this is a little person right here. Holy man, this
Yeah.
is a little person. So you were probably self taught with BMX, right? I mean, you just went out there and did it, right? I imagine, like
Yeah, I grew up in
kind
a
of like
pretty
I did.
small town, and luckily we had a racetrack. My dad rode motocross growing up, so like we were always two wheels were always something in the household.
Okay,
My dad's like a pretty big car guy, big like we would build stuff. We were powder coating frames in the garage, so I had a great support system. Like my parents were amazing, and like they were like, "Oh, you like this? Let's do it." And
yeah.
I think my dad, to be honest, just always thought it was cool. Like he grew up racing moto, so I think he related more to action sports than he did traditional sports. And so if doing car stuff, doing that, I'm in some ways like what we're doing now is living the dream that my dad, I don't want to say had for me, but just like in some way his dream, like doing a car show and building a doom buggy and just something. He's like, this is great. Finally, like the bike riding thing was cool, but I do have a funny story about my dad and the is I jumped out of an airplane with Mario Andretti once, which is
You did?
insane. Pretty insane. I was
Okay.
sponsored by, you can find it online too. I was sponsored by Hot Wheels for a couple of years for BMX, and I did this whole thing with like Mouse McCoy, and we did the world's best driver. It was like this like movie they put out that was like 20 minutes. It was like a huge production. And I did all the YouTube behind the scenes, like, hey, let's talk about what's going on today. They're going to walk us through. They brought to life all their famous cars and did all this rock crawling. This is stuff that like no one knows. But Mario Andretti's been a lifelong Hot Wheels sponsored driver or whatever. We're there at like Lake Elsinore or something at the track, and they're flying planes over and people are jumping, and Mario Andretti. And this ties back into my dad. But Mario Andretti just looking up, he's a tiny little guy. He's just looking up and he's like, I'm not going to do his accent, but he's like, I'm going to jump out of a plane today. And Hot Wheels is like, you can't do that on our like set. We're on set. He's like, well, I'm going to. I'm 78 years old and I've never done it. And I've always wanted to. It's on my bucket list and I'm going to do it today. And so he's like, have your people write up paperwork. I'll sign them. I'm exiting for an hour and a half to go jump off this plane. And I turn and I look at the people and I go, I just need everyone to know that I'm going with him. Like whatever he says, I'm jumping. I don't care if you fire me today. I'm jumping out of a plane with Mario Andretti and I'm doing it. So we go up in the sky and we do this whole thing and whatever. We jump out of the plane. I make a joke. I beat him to the ground. So I beat Mario Andretti, the great F1, whatever. And
what did you guys talk about on the plane?
We were just strapped to people and like, we didn't talk about anything. I mean, it was kind of surreal because nothing against Mario Andretti, but like you and I are of a different age. Like Mario Andretti's not our hero. We missed it. And that doesn't mean I didn't know who he was, but we missed it. So I was like, this is so cool. And I was just excited to jump out of a plane and be able to tell my dad I jumped out of a plane with Mario Andretti. And I won't say that it brought a tear to my dad, but I have accomplished a lot in BMX. And I've said this before, like, action figures, X Games, all this stuff, amazing stuff. I jumped out of that plane with Mario Andretti, and I think my dad cried because my dad grew up a car guy. My dad at 10 years old welded a pipe frame or a dragster together, like a pipe frame drag car by himself or with his brother and out of the garage. So like Mario Andretti was my dad's hero. And I think that like me doing something with him, like was like, whoa, this BMX thing was cool. And you did do the X Games. This is great. And I will never say my dad didn't support it or think it was cool. It was just like Mario Andretti was like, that was something like
That's way cooler than bikes, right?
That's what I'm saying. I'm getting a phone call, I think. Or someone is. My wife might be. So anyways, can you hear me?
No, it's all good. You're good. Okay. Keep going.
And so I think it was one of those where my dad was like, oh, wow, you've really made it. I was like, no, I already kind of made it. Like I kind of did it. I did the thing I wanted. He's like, no, that's all cool. But Mario Andretti.
You have finally arrived. You have finally arrived.
So yeah.
Mario what did you build with your dad in the garage? What were you guys working on?
We've built all kinds of stuff over the years. We've built like a yellow, I had a yellow, well, first of all, we backdated my 911 together. I have a 1985 Carrera that we backdated to like a 71 RS, which is finally getting painted 8 years later, but we backdated it, did all the metal work. My dad helped me backdate my 911 in 3 weeks for $1,300 off of buying a $800 fiberglass hood and $100 bumper in the back and some like the RS like light mounts in the front, the blinkers. We fabricated everything in the garage and drove up to Hill Country Rally on 3 weeks with a finished car, completely finished. Like, we've done a bunch of like stuff for this yellow bug. I had like some all-terrains and we built a roof rack. We did a lot of stuff for the car. Jed and Jim are building that rally car. We've built the 911 85 Carrera. We've built with those guys, which is like a full build, which will be at Manual Focus on display. And then my dad and I built, I'll show you, we built the Minx. And that's me jumping over my dad on the beach in Corpus Christi, where I'm from. And we built that car together. He did a lot more of it because they live 3 hours south. So he just kind of worked along. But my dad's been building cars his whole life. That's
what does he drive? What's his hobby car like?
He's had a few. He had like an old 68 Camaro when I was a kid. He restored a 69 Camaro just to like flip and sell. But right now he's done a handful of bugs or Volkswagen bugs, but the one he has is like a 200 horsepower, all tucked away, hidden. If you saw this car, it's the biggest sleeper. Computer drops out of the thing. Like it's a fully stock looking, like you would never know until you hear the engine turn on. And he built like all these like he built like a new, I don't even know, like the motor is tucked in between the thing that, because usually when you see like a 200 horsepower bug, the like hood's always popped open, you can't
Yep.
close it. He was like, nope, I don't want anyone to know. And
Does he
really, it's
have like
because they live.
sock-sized wheels with maybe like a little
Oh yeah.
extra?
Oh
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
They might be an inch wider, but they are very stock. Like they aren't
Sounds
like
unmanageable and
they're
awesome.
like 15s. They're not 16s or 17s. He wanted a completely normal looking car, and the other one is the other thing is they live out in the middle of nowhere, and he's like, I need to be able to get on the highway at 75 miles an hour for safety. Like, and which I get that. And so he's built a lot of. I mean, like I said, he built pipe frames. He had Baja bugs. He had pipe frame dune buggies in high school. He's been building stuff his whole life. He was like that jet ski crew that like my dad was like, I didn't party or anything. I just built cars and hung out.
What was his job? That was what
He just grew up. My grandfather was a certified Porsche mechanic. That guy got his certification in Germany when he was in the army or in stationed there.
Okay.
And so my dad grew up with a mechanic dad, and my dad was a mechanic at a young age, and then just kind of like an all around, mad scientist fabricator guy. And he works in the automotive industry. He works for Hunter Engineering, which is like one of the top tier like alignment machines, lifts,
Yep.
all that stuff, like tire changers. And so I've installed 100 lifts in my life. He's installed thousands, and he's actually retiring next month. So his manual focus might be my dad's retirement party.
Dang.
We'll see. Yeah,
Right on.
after 35 years of working in the car industry, he's gonna chill, and then I'm gonna make him. He's gonna move up to Austin. My mom and dad are gonna move up to Austin, and I think I'm gonna buy. I don't know when and how, but I think I'm gonna buy a project car for us. We need to start a new project.
Do you have any idea what you want it to be? Are you buying? Is it for you guys? Is it for you to
It
experience with him? So you want it to be like more for him, but also kind of for you? Like, what's the
it would
goal?
just be. It's just it's a hobby. It's just like he needs something. He's gonna need something to do,
Yeah.
and I figured might as well we'll build something. And he's gonna build a big enough garage out here to be able to do it. I mean, my dad's built jetpacks. He flies around the lake. Like it's like a whole, it's one of those like we'll get something. I don't know what it is. I haven't decided. I've looked at a
Sounds like a
couple.
high bar, honestly.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And like I said, like the car, if it does, it can stay out there. I don't care. Whatever.
So you talk about the Mario Andretti thing with your dad, and that
Yep.
kind of being like, "Oh, you're finally cool." Was there a moment for you personally that was that summit? Looking back, I know we're looking back a little bit, but was there like something like that for you? Like, oh, whoa, this is for
I
real. I
think,
finally made it.
I think there was a couple of them that happened pretty early. Like I won BMX Rider of the Year, but it happened pretty quick in my career where I was still really young and it was kind of hard to grasp what was going on.
How young?
I
How old
think
were you?
I was probably 20,
Okay.
19 or 20
Okay.
maybe. I think 20, and I was probably turning 21, or maybe I just turned 21. So it's one of those where like it all kind of happened so quick, and obviously I was grateful and excited, but it was tough to kind of I didn't know how important that was at that moment. I'm not saying I didn't like. I think it was just like, oh, cool, put it over here, let's keep going. I think some of the signature shoe stuff was when it really set into me that I was getting to accomplish goals that like there wasn't a handful of guys in the industry that had shoes like that. And then it lasted a long time, and then my shoes did really well, and so I was able to like buy a house and like do stuff. I think that's sort of the time I look back. The action figure came after all that,
Yeah.
and I think the action figure kind of was one of those deals where like, oh, this kind of makes sense. I guess I don't know. Everyone's getting action figures that like I would be one of those 10. But I think the shoe thing and having the success with the shoes was like a pretty big moment where I was like, damn, this is kind of crazy. Like the guys I all looked up to the most had some signature shoes. And that was a pretty cool feeling to like, be able to kind of check that box off. There's some of our best bike riders today that like have lived that generation of bike BMX and didn't get shoes like that. And like they should have. It just was one I got lucky, and then mine did good. So I got to keep getting lucky. Yeah, I've
At
always
that
just kind of
time
said
of like 19 or 20 years old, I think of just getting out of high school. You probably, now you can just tell me if I'm wrong. I'm just making assumptions for the sake of conversation. Probably had a group of buddies that you rolled with.
Yep.
Maybe some of them were into bikes. There's probably some that weren't. did it feel, I mean, if it happened that fast, did you leave those guys behind? Like, what happened to those? Like, was it just so fast that you were just like, wow, crap, my life is so different now, and these dudes
I
are.
spent the first year after high school going back and forth from Corpus Christi to Austin. It's like 3 hours away. Austin's one of the biggest BMX mecca in the world. Like people come here from all the world. It's like Southern California, Austin, and like, of course, like in New York City, but even like Austin and New York and Southern California are like the places outside of going to like Europe or Barcelona or whatever. And so I think I just was already traveling up here a lot senior year on the weekends. So it just sort of made sense. I stayed really good friends with a couple of the guys, but that was a small town. Like not everyone was gonna keep doing this. Some of them got cars and moved on, like other, not normal people, I guess. So I already had a pretty good core friend base in Austin pretty quickly, and I was like good at bike riding, so I was getting in the cool crews and sponsored by the bike shop in Austin. And so I spent a year going back and forth and sometimes staying for 20 days and going home and whatever. And my parents were like super supportive of that. And then I just moved here. And honestly, like I moved here, all those friends I had at that time, they're still my best friends. Like I see them on a weekly basis. That's not even Jim and Jed. That's like a different group of people. Austin's just a big bike community. And so it's nice to have that like, yeah. So it just kind of became one of those things. I did definitely leave people behind, but I had to do you had to do what you had to do. And like, I still talk to one of my best friends from riding bikes that still rides today. Like I see him a couple times a year, talk to him all the time. And, he's like a photographer in Corpus and like shoots photos. And he was on a couple big trips. He did come on a couple trips at one point, like as a sponsored rider, like he was good. But yeah, I mean, usually you have to sacrifice some of that when you're going to make those moves.
Yeah.
And,
I was thinking about, I want to trade a story with you. So,
all right, I'm
I'm
ready.
thinking about, like my history with bikes and stuff, which is just like literally teenager with bike, right? So
Yep.
it's, but for me, this is like the coolest story ever
Okay.
with
I'm
my
ready.
bike. So I'm gonna grab my bike so I'll show you the bike, and then I'll tell you a story.
Nokian Tires has officially launched their newest tire, and it's one we're especially excited about, as it's tailor-made for the type of driving we like to do here at Overcrest. It's called the Surpass ASO1, and what sets it apart is it's a high-performance, all-season tire. It's made specifically for drivers who want the most out of their cars without sacrificing capability when the roads get slick. We know all too well how unpredictable the roads can be, whether you're out on one of our rallies, one of your own adventures, or just running to the grocery store. And let's face it, a car can only perform as well as the tires it's on. That's why the new Surpass ASO1 is so great. It offers the grip of a dedicated performance tire, but won't leave you stranded if the road or weather gets rough. Not only does it come with a 55,000-mile warranty, it also offers Nokian Tires pothole protection. If you happen to damage your tire beyond repair, Nokian will replace it for free. Check it out at nokiantires.com/surpass. Looking for the best app for navigating your next adventure? Look no further than Onyx Off-Road. With over 750,000 miles of trails and comprehensive offline maps, you can explore without worrying about cell service. The app features trail ratings, detailed information, and a discover tool to help you find trails near you. Onyx Off-Road also includes public and private land boundaries, so you'll always know where you can legally off-road, camp, and explore. Want to stay connected? The app features a cell service layer, so you can plan your route with service in mind, which is great for emergencies or just staying in touch. And for added peace of mind, there's a wildfire layer that helps you avoid active fires and smoky areas, keeping you safe and aware of current conditions. With tools like Route Builder, waypoint marking, real-time updates, and route sharing, you're fully equipped for any adventure. Try it for free for 7 days and hit the trails with confidence. Download Onyx Off-Road today.
So this is
All
it.
right. I like it.
This is a Diamondback Riptile,
Yep.
which no longer has its original wheels because they got stolen.
Oh,
The one thing that I always thought was cooler about this bike than my buddies' dynos and GTs is I had 48 spoke rims,
okay.
which we'll come into the story in a second. So I bought that bike with my own money,
Okay.
and everybody else had red lines and dyno NSXs and comps and Haro Master and all this stuff. And I love this bike. And I was probably in, as you get older, time starts to go away. But I know that I was probably in 5th grade because the boys that I'm going to tell you about were in middle school. Oh, we're echoing a little bit.
I know. I don't know what happened. These things just went off.
Oh, maybe they died.
They shouldn't have died because they were very charged.
Hello.
We're back.
Hello.
I don't know what happened.
Hold on.
No,
I'm still echoing. You might just have to turn your volume way down.
Huh. Hello.
Check.
They were very charged. I haven't said that. Let's see. But they do seem to be.
Are they toast? Those things have like a 13-hour battery
life. Oh, here you go. Yeah, I know. They're
checking.
I don't know what happened, but we're back.
So I know I was probably in like, I had to have been in 5th grade because the guys that I'm going to tell you about were in middle school. I remember that. And I remember biking around with my buddies all summer. And I remember biking by this forest, and there was this little bike path that you could see go into the woods. And this is probably, so I graduated high school in 99. So this is probably, it had to have been early 90s. Early 90s is when this happened. So there's nobody has phones. You only know the people that you know. There's no internet whatsoever, none. So it's only like word of mouth, boy to boy. Like, is the only way you find out about anything. And me and my buddy Mike, I think his name was Mike, and he had like a Schwinn. Like we were the guys without the cool bikes. So we bike into this. We're like, let's go check this out. We bike into this forest. I'm in Watertown, Wisconsin. Population.
You're a Midwesterner.
I'm a Midwesterner. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah. Oh man. So we bike in here and follow this path because it's obviously a bike path. You can see the square tire tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So we go in there and it's a freaking dirt track.
Okay.
And it's an oval, and there's jumps that are like straight up and then straight down, and there's ones that are up, flat, and then down, like the flat tops, and it's all dirt. Like what I find out is middle school boys and high school boys built this in this woods. There's shovels around. They built this track. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. But we weren't allowed to be there because we weren't in middle school or high school, or we weren't in middle school or high school. Yeah, it must have been like 5th grade. But we're allowed to watch. So we just hang out and watch, whatever. And eventually we kind of start riding around or whatever. You kind of start to know the boys. And like over the summer, you can start biking. And I remember seeing these dudes clear this flat top on this. They would go up one side and they go all the way over it, and they would land on the other side. And I wanted to do that so bad. and I'm a kid who's jumping off curbs or, like jumping off driveways onto the street as high as I can and riding wheelies. And, you would hit the little bump where the cement had gone down a little bit, and you use that and you'd get a little bit of a jump. By no means anything special. So I would always just like bike around the track as fast as I could. That was it. That's all I would do as a kid. And I would see these kids doing this, and I just go, I'm going to do this. I'm going to clear this thing. So I bike a couple of times, and my heart is just absolutely pounding. And I go I don't know what I'm doing. I go as fast as I can. I'm pedal as hard as I can, as fast as I can to try and clear this thing. I go up, I go over the flat top, past the other side, and I land flat on the other side, blow the tires on the bike. The tubes blew on the bike.
Is it this bike that's right there?
This bike. This fucking bike.
Okay.
And I bent one, like I didn't taco the wheel, but I bent it, and it was like this 48 spoke. I don't think they were Peregrines or anything. It was whatever came with the bike. It was a $300 bike in 1993. Yep. It was not crazy. But dude, I was like, my wrists hurt. I remember everything hurt. I probably smashed my nuts. I don't remember if I smashed my nuts on my seat or not. But I did it. My bike broke, but I did it.
Did people watch you do it?
They watched me do it.
And were you like,
dude, it was one of, and I had forgotten about it till just now. And I was like, they were like, yo, and they're like celebrating and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I have to walk this bike 5 miles. So I walked the bike all the way home. And it was we put new tubes in, and I rode the bike with bent wheels because there was
That's a great thing. That's a great thing about the action sports in general is like, you don't even have to pull it sometimes. It's not about that. Like in football, if you don't catch that ball, you're forever like you're forgotten. In action sports, you're like, dude, he sent it. No, he died, but he sent it. And
I
you're
sent it.
good.
I
You're
sent it.
good
I broke the
forever.
bike.
Yeah.
I never tried it again.
Yeah. Never again.
I never did it. Well, I mean, I would bike, but I never did that much of a send ever again. I don't know. That was my moment, I guess.
I like it. I mean,
Yeah.
you like, that was it. You peaked and,
I
you
peaked.
showed everyone you could do it. And,
Yeah.
So when did you get into cars?
Oh my
In the
God.
Midwest?
In the Midwest. Yeah. I guess, my grandpa was a Y2K guy. You know, the Y2K, the computers are all going to go to zero and the whole world's going to end. And he had a windmill. He bought a windmill. He bought a diesel generator, a bunch of silver coins, and like all this shit and bags of rice to put just in case we were all going to starve to death come the apocalypse and the windmill was going to grind all the rice for us. It was pretty crazy. But the car that he bought was a 1983 Volkswagen Rabbit diesel.
Okay.
It was a Rabbit diesel because it only has one wire to turn it on. It's you start it and then it has one wire that goes up there and it sits on the injection pump and it goes 12 volts. You have fuel. No 12 volts. You don't have fuel. That's it.
Wow.
So he bought this thing because he thought the end of the world was coming. So that was my first kind of exposure to a car that was different because everything else had been like a Mercury Grand Marquis or an F-150 or like just some quote unquote car. Like if you define car as like car thing, all the vehicles were car things, but a Rabbit was really different. It was baby blue. It was 4-door. And I just for some reason really liked it. So I ended up getting to drive that car in high school. And I remember things would break on it and I would have to fix it myself. He taught me how to change my oil on that car. I remember changing a half shaft, the CV died, in a gravel driveway in the winter because whatever project he had going on, because he never would pay anybody to do anything. Even if it took him a year to fix a transmission or something, that was the answer. It was you were going to fix it yourself. There was no giving up. You were going to do it. So that was probably like my first exposure to cars was maintaining that thing. And it was actually, it had a 4-speed transmission with 48 horsepower. And in first gear, it was really fast. in first gear, it would squeal the tires. And then I remember it getting into like the late 90s. I guess that would have been the same period of time. It's late 90s. And you would look and you would see like a GTI VR6 or something. And you would see, I remember once seeing that the gauges were purple. So it must have been a Mark IV, like maybe 2000 or something like that. I'm like,
I know that I know a bunch of
BMXers.
BMXers. I know a bunch of BMXers from the Midwest, and the golfs was like a big deal. Like that scene in the Midwest was a big deal. Like, well, I don't know, the GTIs, the Golf Rs or whatever, like they were all of them. They had a version of that car, whether it was like probably more in the 2005, 4, 5 era, but like the Volkswagen like hatch was a big deal.
There was no scene for me. Like it was such a small, nothing. I had that Volkswagen Rabbit and we would bomb around in it. And I didn't discover scene until I moved to Minneapolis, probably in 2002. Otherwise it was just me and a Rabbit. Yeah. And then once I started, then I was like, oh, I'm going to get this Passat 8-valve. And then I go, I wonder if I can make this faster. Because I knew that I could mess with the injection pump. Grandpa was a tank mechanic in the Korean War, so we loved diesels. So that's where my love for diesels comes from. But he was showing me how to like advance the pump timing. And I was like, I wonder if you can somehow make this Passat faster. So then I'm just like turning the distributor. No, that does not make it faster. It does not make it faster. And then you start to discover like the internet, right? You start to discover that there's other car people on the internet.
You're like, wait, there's other psychos like me? I like this.
Yeah, there's whoa. And then all of a sudden I realize I can chip it. And this is right around the same time that I met my wife. And that's kind of where it all started, was that Passat and that Rabbit. And then I found Volksport, this local car club here. And I was a snotty kid, man. I was a snotty kid. I caused problems. I would cause problems and fight with people.
Do those people still like you now?
I've seen a few of them here and there, and I don't think they like me very much because I caused them a lot of grief.
Oh,
I really did. I caused them a lot.
You're giving back now. You're giving back.
Yes, I'm doing the best I can. You know, I've certainly softened with age, as we all do.
Yeah.
I've realized that though I may feel that I am always right, that may not always be always be the case. But that's kind of where it
Yeah.
started for me is grandpa and him, you know, saying it's like you could pay somebody or you could do it 3 times yourself and screw it up every single time and learn something and still come out ahead of just paying someone to do it in the first place.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he always
Just
encouraged me to
barely.
just barely, just
Just
barely. As
barely.
long as you don't value your time. That's one
Yeah.
thing I never realized about all these statements is as long as you don't value your time as a payment, you can always
Mhm.
come out ahead doing it yourself. But if you start to like count your own labor, which you know
No,
you
no,
start
no.
to
You
do in
don't.
your older
You
age.
never do that. You never do that.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
do a lot
no.
of like home renovations and like Airbnb project renovations, and you never count those hours. You can't. If you
You
count those hours, you are losing every time.
you're losing
But
every time. But you learn something.
you're making great memories along the way.
Yeah,
I'm
it
a
was
funny car person because I really don't know a lot about cars. Like, I know a lot about cars visually. I love cars. I have favorite cars. I have built them. I don't care about the speed and I don't care about what's in like the motor. Don't care. So like I like people are like, so what's in it? I'm like, couldn't tell you. I know that like I care about the way it sits. I care about driving it. I love kooky cars that I love to treat the Manx like it's a truck. I've delivered boxes and bikes and places in the back, and people are like, "What? Just use your normal car." I'm like, This is a weird car, and I want to do weird things with it." And so cars to me are like, I want Mini Coopers. I want weird small things that just make no real sense. And the Porsche is the same way. Like we took that road trip with the guys to Bentonville, Arkansas to ride mountain bikes, took the front seats out and like put bikes in it. And we're like, this is not an SUV, but this week that's what it is. And like, I think that's what I love about cars.
what
And
do you
it's not a,
what why what is that? Why is that what tickles it
I
for
think,
you?
I think I just grew up in a place where everyone drove a truck. Even my dad, big truck guy, not like he doesn't drive a big lifted truck, just like he uses a truck for work because he needs it. He's like, you need a truck because I have a welder I have an old 2002 G wagon I drive daily, and it has at times has a welder in the back. All my tools are in the back. We do all these projects, and I think I'm like, no, I want to keep my bike inside the car. I want to keep my tools. I want to keep my other activities. Like I'm a big hobby guy, so I want everything in there. And I'm like, I'm not a truck guy. And I think it's just a little bit of that, like, no, I'm not going to be a truck guy. I'm not a normal Texan truck guy. I'm going to treat I've put my tools in the back of the Manx and driven to the house we're messing with and like just gone to work. Like, and I
I'm
think
with you, man.
that
Give me a station wagon. I don't need a truck. Give
that's
me
what
a
I'm saying. I just think
wagon,
it's
just
fun.
whatever. Make it work.
Yeah. I think it's just something different. I don't want to I want to do something different. I think I have more pride in something different. I think that's it. Like I want the G-Wagon to like be used as a truck, not as this like luxury vehicle. I want the Manx to just I want the Manx makes people happy. It doesn't intimidate people. The Volkswagen, when I drove the bug around all the time, people would always kind of be like, I love this because it reminds me of this time that I did this thing and my 5 cousins and I drove to Disneyland in Florida when I was, in the 80s. And I'm like, cool. Like, I think that's fun. Don't get me wrong. That happens with Porsches as well. But I think, I just love weird cars. I love
Is this a
slow.
unique to cars thing? Because I
What do
feel
you
like
mean?
cars are very yeah, it's a hobby, but it's just like this thing of where cars it's travel, it's taking you somewhere.
Yep.
And I feel like things that take you somewhere are unique in how human beings interact with them and interact
Hmm.
with each other when we're using them.
Hmm.
And I can't think of anything else like it. I think cars are very special in that regard.
I think when I think of the bug or the Manx specifically, like I like that they're slow because I think it slows down time, slows down life. Cause like when you get into like my wife's brand new like car, you're kind of like zipping places. It's all easy and smooth. And like that's not how it works with the Manx. You get on a road and like 55 is kind of like this thing's shaking a little bit and I'm just in a fiberglass bathtub. And you kind of start to, and so I think it just slows everything down. So it's sort of like, I'm not a big like hiker guy. That's not my hobby. Like, I don't want to go hiking. I want to go mountain biking or I want to go like drive the car on a windy road and like slow and it takes you away. And I just think that like I'm not saying I don't enjoy driving the Porsche fast. I've done that with Jen and Jim and gone on all the drives, and like I love that as well. But there's two different tools. The Porsche is meant for that. The Manx is meant to like putt around and take honey to go get ice cream. And like I always tell people that the Manx is my family's Jeep. Like people have Jeeps to climb up the back wheel and get in the back. The Manx is our Jeep. That's it.
Do you think the going slow is it's the speed at which you consume the world around you is directly proportional to the speed at which time passes sometimes, I think.
Yeah, I just think it like takes you to a different time. I think like I appreciate these old cars if you're really going to appreciate them. And I don't mean the Porsche was meant to be fast. I'm speaking specifically on these Volkswagens where like they weren't fast. They were just and like back in the day, like everything was slower, like you got information slower. You got 3 channels a week. Not I didn't live this life, but you hear these stories. We lived the good life. But
no
it's
cable
not that
TV. Mom, Dad.
Yeah.
Can we get cable? No.
Yeah.
Damn it.
And so I think it's nice. Just like I tell like someone like Jed that, and Jed's like bigger motor. And I'm not saying Jed's like big race car guy, but like Jed, he has a car that like is built for taking corners. And I have a car that is literally like, I'm waiting for other cars to pass me. I'm just like, I want to chill.
My favorite road trip I've ever done is with my daughter in a Ford Pinto Squire wagon.
Yeah.
Which is the slowest thing I've ever owned.
Because if you did it in a normal modern car, it's just the car becomes, that's not a memory. The trip's the memory. And if you do it in this weird thing where the car's breaking down and there's like you're fixing, like, these hill country rallies or these rallies, like when something breaks, that's the trip. It's not about the end of it. It's about how you got there. And I think that's kind of how I look at all these cars. Like it's whatever.
Yeah. It's Der Vegas das Ziel, right? It's the route is the goal. The journey is the goal. That's the part of it. I think that there's risk taking that's involved. Anytime you take risks with everything, the story is inevitably going to go better. I mean, it's a cliche statement that no good story was told after everything went right.
Yeah,
that's.
I have a funny story. We drove on that same trip. We took out the front seats and put our mountain bikes. Jed had a roof rack with his bikes, but we took out the seats, put our mountain bikes on. We drove to, I don't remember where, but Paris, Texas or something. And Jed's car broke down. Jim and I's car didn't break down. Jed's broke down. We pulled into an old Firestone dealership that was closed, parked under the whatever, the carport. And we sat for no joke for like 7 or 8 hours while Jed worked on his car on like a Sunday or whatever, a day when things are closed. I accidentally ordered a chair online, like a foldable, like hiking chair for the trip. It was a child size and I sat in it for hours. I ordered pizza to a abandoned Firestone. Jed worked on his car and put a new oil cooler in it. I don't know, I don't know what he did. And that trip was great, but that's the memory. The memory is us. Jim and I still remember that chair. Do you remember the Jed worked on his car for 7 hours and we just sat and watched him? Like there's photos of us just sitting there like, so what are you doing now? He's like, I don't know. We're like, I don't know either.
When I think at the it was North Carolina rally, Overcrest rally last time, my most memorable experience from that was not the dirt track and the racetrack or Night Zero or these other things. It was sitting with my buddy Mitchell while he worked on his Mercury Cougar at AutoZone. Not in a beautiful place. It was nowhere special. The area was under construction. It was super ugly. And we couldn't figure out why the thing didn't run. And there was all these different things that happened. We had to walk to an O'Reilly and that didn't work. But then there was this creepy lady that showed up in a Mercury Capri that would just like sit there and idle and stare at us. Like this old Mercury. And she's like smoked cigarettes. And she was smoking cigarettes while she read the Bible in her rusty Mercury Capri while she stared at us. And I'm like, I went, I don't know, Mitchell. She's kind of hot, man. He's like, what are you talking about? No. But yeah, just like fiddling with his carburetor. And then we went and bought another carburetor. And then we had to buy this or that. And we're going through the AutoZone aisles going, will this work? Well, can we rig it with this and that? Best part of the whole trip.
Yeah. Dude, and I think it reminds me of BMX because I've traveled all over the world to ride bikes. But when I'm not the one riding and someone else is filming, you sit on a curb and hang out with the 5 other guys that aren't filming for sometimes 30 minutes, but sometimes 3 hours while someone tries one trick. Or people will take turns at spots. But my point is, that sitting on the curb with Jed for fixing his car was no different than sitting on the curb with the guys filming. And so I feel like these cars are just the new hobby, the new BMX, and luckily get to do it with some bike rider guys. So you have this like, we've been doing this forever. Like we've been doing the same thing. Just the tool that we use to do it has changed. And
the tool that is broken next to the curb that you're sitting on has changed.
Like,
Dude, I'm really looking forward to coming down to Manual Focus. It'll be great to go to an event that someone else put a bunch of work into doing. I'm really looking forward to that. I don't know. Am I allowed to say what Overcrest is bringing? Is it like a surprise or something?
I mean, as of right now, everything is a surprise, but we should drop it. Let's do it. This is
right here. This thing right here leaves in. This is it. This car right here is coming down to Manual Focus. You can see it there. And we're going to bring something else as well. But this thing right here, we're going to bring it down.
If you haven't seen it, so how are you bringing it down?
It is being shipped. I am not driving it. It sucks because every time, like the hill country, what you guys don't understand is that between my house and the Minnesota border, the thing would already have rust because there is so much salt on the roads that you just can't do it. You cannot drive anything here until
I get it. That's
until like May. So yeah, we're gonna ship it down. Me and Jeff will be there. We're very excited. I know Jeff is. This is the reason this car is cool is Jeff. You know, the artist that put his handprint on this car.
I mean, we're gonna have some. I mean, I'm sure you've heard we have some artists doing some painting some cars. It's gonna be a good time. I don't know what the we'll see. We're gonna have a good time. I think that's it. At the end of the day, we're gonna have a good time, and I want everyone to come there, and I want it to be fun. This isn't supposed to be some bougie art event. It's supposed to be an elevated car event that has a lot of artwork. And I just want everyone to leave having a good time. That's it.
Right on. Well, I will put all the link in the show notes if everybody wants to, check it out. And I look forward to seeing you there. And
I can't wait. Come see us. It's going to be fun. February 6th and 7th. It's almost here. We're working too hard, but we're going to have a good time.
Jeez. Yeah, it's creeping up. Man, time flies. All right, man. We will see you. We'll see you down there.
We'll do this again. I have more questions about more bike riding. I have so much. Let's do it again.
All right, man. Sounds good.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Later.